A love beyond status. Chapter 1. The Embarrassment. Emily had always known that her parents, Margaret and Richard, had high expectations for her future. They envisioned her marrying someone from a prestigious background, perhaps a lawyer or a doctor. So, when she announced her engagement to Alex, a humble plumber, their reaction was anything but supportive. "I can't believe this, Emily," Margaret had said, her voice laced with disappointment. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Marrying a plumber?" Richard didn't say much, but his silence spoke volumes. He was a man of few words, but Emily knew her father's disapproval cut deeper than anything her mother could say. The final blow came when they refused to attend her wedding. Instead of walking her down the aisle, Richard had left a note on her bed that read, "Enjoy your wedding with a plumber." The note stung more than she could have imagined. Emily was embarrassed and hurt, not just by her parents' absence, but by the blatant disregard for the man she loved. But despite the heartbreak, she knew she couldn't let their disapproval ruin her special day. Alex was everything she had ever wanted: kind, hard-working, and deeply in love with her. He treated her like a queen, and that was what truly mattered. Chapter 2. Building a Life Together. Despite the rocky start, Emily and Alex's marriage blossomed. They moved into a modest home in a quiet neighborhood, where Alex's plumbing skills came in handy as he renovated the old house, turning it into a cozy haven. Every inch of their home reflected their love and commitment to each other. However, the shadow of her parents' rejection lingered over Emily. Every time she visited them, she could feel the cold distance between them. They were polite but distant, as if they were still waiting for her to wake up from what they considered a mistake. Emily couldn't understand why they couldn't see Alex for the wonderful person he was. She felt torn between the love she had for her parents and the life she was building with Alex. Meanwhile, Alex noticed the strain it put on Emily. He never complained or asked her to choose between him and her parents. Instead, he focused on making their life together as happy and fulfilling as possible. He worked long hours to provide for them, often coming home late at night, exhausted but content, knowing that he was building a future for them. Chapter 3. The Turning Point. As the years passed, Emily and Alex faced their share of challenges, but their bond only grew stronger. Alex's hard work and dedication paid off when he was offered a partnership in the plumbing business where he worked. It was a huge step up, and it allowed them to start saving for their future. But the turning point came when Margaret fell ill. It was a sudden and serious illness that left her bedridden and dependent on others for care. Richard, who had always been strong and self-reliant, was overwhelmed by the situation. Emily, despite the way her parents had treated her, couldn't stand by and do nothing. She and Alex moved in temporarily to help take care of her mother. It was during this time that Alex's true character shone through. He not only took care of Margaret's plumbing needs, fixing leaks, ensuring the heating was working properly, but he also helped with her daily care, lifting her in and out of bed, making sure she was comfortable. Margaret, who had initially been icy towards Alex, began to thaw. She saw the way he cared for her, without complaint, always with a gentle smile. Slowly, her attitude began to change. Chapter 4. Redemption. One evening, as Alex helped Margaret into her bed, she looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. "I was wrong about you," she whispered. "I'm sorry for how I treated you and Emily. You're a good man, Alex." Alex, ever humble, just smiled and squeezed her hand. "It's all in the past, Margaret. What matters now is that you get better." Emily overheard this exchange and felt a surge of emotion. For so long, she had wanted her parents to see Alex the way she did, and now, finally, her mother was beginning to understand. Richard, too, came around in his own quiet way. One day, he approached Alex while he was working on the sink. "I misjudged you, son," he said gruffly, clapping Alex on the shoulder. "You've taken good care of my daughter and now her mother. Thank you. Alex looked up, surprised by the rare display of emotion from Richard. She's my family, too, Alex replied simply. Chapter 5. A Love Beyond Status. Margaret eventually recovered, and the experience had changed her, and Richard, forever. They began to accept Alex as a part of their family, not because of his profession, but because of the man he was. They finally realized that love and respect were far more important than status or wealth. When Margaret and Richard renewed their vows for their 40th wedding anniversary, they insisted that Emily and Alex stand beside them as their witnesses. It was their way of showing that they had come to accept and appreciate the life Emily had chosen. The wedding vow renewal was a simple ceremony, held in the backyard of Margaret and Richard's home, surrounded by close friends and family. As they stood together, watching Margaret and Richard exchange their vows, Emily felt a sense of peace. The embarrassment of the past was behind them, replaced by the warmth of family unity. As they walked home that night, hand in hand, Emily looked up at Alex. "I'm proud to be your wife," she said softly. Alex smiled and kissed her forehead. "And I'm proud to be your husband, Em." Their journey hadn't been easy, but it had taught them that love was stronger than any societal expectation. In the end, what mattered most was the life they had built together, a life full of love, respect, and mutual support. And as for her parents, they had learned a valuable lesson. It's not the status or profession that defines a person's worth, but the love and integrity they bring into their relationships. In A Love Beyond Status, Emily defies her parents' expectations by marrying Alex, a humble plumber. Despite the initial rejection and embarrassment from her family, Emily and Alex build a loving life together. When her mother falls seriously ill, Alex's selfless care begins to change her parents' hearts. This touching story explores the power of love, respect, and the realization that true worth lies not in status, but in the character and integrity of a person.